Hi Rabbits, Research Turtle here. Welcome to January 2026. The era of free trade is officially over. We have entered the age of managed trade, or as the new policy dubs it, Fortress America. Today, we are breaking down the mechanics of this new global order, identifying who paid the price for admission and who has been locked out. Let's look at the scoreboard for the U.S. economy as of this month. The tariff shock of 2025 has settled into a new reality. The White House is celebrating a massive win on the trade deficit, which has dropped to its lowest level since 2009. Revenue from tariffs has skyrocketed to nearly $300 billion. But here's the catch. The inventory buffers that companies built up last year are gone. Inflation is ticking up by 0.5%, and costs are now being passed directly to you, the consumer. So how does this fortress actually work? It's not just a wall, it's a four-tier pyramid. At the bottom, we have Tier 1, the universal baseline, a 10% tariff on almost everything entering the U.S. Above that is Tier 2, the reciprocal cap. This is where allies live. If a country plays nice, their tariffs are capped at 15%. Then it gets ugly. Tier 3 is punitive, ranging from 20 to 100% for rule breakers. And at the very top, Tier 4, we have sector-specific surcharges on things like steel and tech. This structure has created a clear trade-off. Politically, the administration has delivered on reducing the deficit, but economically, we are seeing the stockpile phase end and the price hike phase begin. Efficiency is dead. Resilience is the new king. Now, let's talk about the winners, or rather the survivors. We call them the 15% Club. These are the friendly nations, South Korea, Japan, and the EU, who negotiated a ceiling. Even if reciprocal rules say tariffs should be higher, they are capped at 15%. This is effectively the cost of entry to the American market. The valedictorian of this new school is undoubtedly South Korea. They secured the 15% cap and avoided the dreaded 25% auto tariffs. How? They paid up. Korean companies committed a staggering $350 billion in U.S. investments, including shipbuilding and tech. They also abolished the auto quota, allowing U.S. cars into Korea without safety certification. It was a heavy price, but it secured their survival. Compare that to Europe. The rule here is simple: make it where you sell it. BMW is safe because they produce in South Carolina. Their price hikes are minimal. But Volkswagen? They rely heavily on imports from Mexico and Europe. Their deliveries are down nearly 5%, and they're losing competitiveness fast. Then there's Taiwan. They don't just trade goods, they trade security. TSMC is finalizing a deal to build 5 new fabs in Arizona. In exchange, they're negotiating to lower their tariff rate from 20% down to the 15% ally level. They're literally using chips as currency to buy their way into the fortress. Closer to home, our neighbors are feeling the heat. Canada is sheltering behind an energy exception, keeping tariffs low on oil. Mexico, however, is being watched for backdoor risks. If a product is made in Mexico but uses too many Chinese parts, it gets hit with a 25 to 50% tariff. The free pass of NAFTA is gone. Now for those outside the walls. The decoupling with China is real. Direct trade volume has collapsed by 18%. And for Vietnam, they fell into the transshipment trap. The U.S. realized Chinese goods were just being repackaged in Vietnam. The penalty? A massive 40% surcharge on top of base tariffs. Companies are now fleeing Vietnam for Malaysia and Thailand. India is also walking a tightrope. Because they continue to buy Russian crude, the U.S. is threatening tariffs as high as 500% under the new Russia Sanctions Act. In reality, it's applied at around 50%, but the message is clear: you cannot be neutral in an economic war. Is there any hope for a reversal? Maybe. All eyes are on the Supreme Court case Learning Resources versus Trump. If the court rules that the president overstepped his authority, the Treasury might have to refund $200 billion in tariffs. The Treasury calls it a corporate boondoggle, but the market calls it a potential chaos event. So what is the bottom line for 2026? The old question was, where is labor cheapest? The new question is, where is the tariff wall lowest? We have moved from free trade to negotiated liberty. You are either inside the wall paying the 15% admission fee, or you're outside fighting for survival. That's it for today. Turtle out.